Hola, I'm Dr. Grant Gerhardt. I'm coming to you from the Language Resource Center in Gamble Hall on the campus of Armstrong State University. And today we're going to talk about direct and indirect object pronouns. So the first thing I ask students is, what is a direct object? Often in English we're not even sure what that means. A direct object simply answers the question who or what. So if I have the sentence, I have a cookie, what do I have? A cookie. That's my direct object. Let's look at another one. She eats pizza. What does she eat? Pizza. That's the direct object. Now, sometimes we want to use a pronoun to take the place of the direct object in a sentence. For example, instead of saying, I have a cookie, I might say, I have it. She eats pizza. She eats it. We can do the same thing in Spanish, and that's what this lesson is going to talk you through. How you can identify the direct object of a sentence, then how you can identify from that which direct object pronoun you would use, and then finally how you would insert that direct object pronoun into a sentence. Okay, check out these sentences in Spanish. Tengo unos libros. Estudiamos historia. Mis amigos compran ropa. Let's go through each one and we're going to identify the subject, the verb, and then the object of the sentence. So, en número uno, tengo unos libros. Always start with the verb. Let's first identify the verb. That's going to tell us or give us clues about what the subject is. So the verb in the sentence is what? Tengo. Right? That's my verb. All right? Now, I know that tengo is the yo form of the verb, so that's my subject. Even though I don't have to write it in the sentence itself, I know because of the way the verb is conjugated that the subject of the sentence is yo. Okay, so now I have my verb and my subject. Now, the next thing is I'm going to ask myself that question. What do I have? ¿Qué tengo? ¿Qué tengo? Tengo unos libros. Right? So that's going to be my direct object. All right? Unos libros. Take a look here at número dos. All right? We have estudiamos historia. Well, let's locate the verb. The verb is estudiamos. Again, there's no direct subject place, but I know that when I conjugate the verb estudiar to estudiamos, that it's the nosotros form. So now I've got my verb and my subject. Nosotros estudiamos. What do we study? ¿Qué estudiamos? Historia. Estudiamos historia. So that's my direct object. Número tres. Okay, we have more words in this example. We have mis amigos compran ropa. Mis amigos compran ropa. Let's identify the verb. Mis is not the verb. Amigos, not the verb. Compran, that's my verb from comprar, to buy. Okay? Now, do I have a given subject in the sentence? I do. Mis amigos. Okay, this is my subject. Now, so let's ask the question. ¿Qué compran? What do they buy? Ropa. This is my direct object. Take a look at these examples that I'm about to give you and see if you can figure these out for yourself. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples here, and I want you to try and identify the direct object in the sentence.
Número 1. Toco la guitarra. Think about it for a second. What is it that I play? What do I play? La guitarra. Toco la guitarra. Número 2. María habla español. What does María speak? Español. Español is the direct object. Número 3. Juan y Raúl limpian el baño. ¿Qué limpian? El baño. Número 4. Nosotros preparamos la comida. ¿Qué preparamos? La comida. So you see from these examples, the words in bold are the direct objects.
Okay, hopefully now you've got an idea of how to identify the direct object in a Spanish sentence. Now the next step is to figure out how to take that object and replace it with an object pronoun, los pronombres de los objetos directos. In Spanish, we have 6 object pronouns. Me, te, lo, la, so really we have 8. Nos, os, los, las. Okay? Now, when we identify the direct object in a sentence, we have to look at its gender and its number, because it's going to have to agree down here with the third person singular and plural forms of these pronouns. For example, if my direct object turned out to be una galleta, I know that that is a feminine word, una galleta, and it's singular. So from there, I've got to identify its matching pronoun. It would not be lo, because that's a masculine singular. It would not be los, because that's a masculine plural. It would not be las, because that's a feminine plural. It would be la. So anytime we have when we identify the direct object and it's in third person, we've got to identify whether it's a masculine or feminine word or noun, and if it's a singular or plural noun. In this next activity, see if you can identify the correct object pronoun based on the noun's gender and number.
For this activity, identify what the direct object pronoun would be for the words that appear on the left of your screen. Los chicos, los. La mesa, la. Las pelotas, las. La película, la. El coche, lo. Let's try some more. Juana, la. El presidente, lo. La botella. La. Raúl. Lo. Raúl y Pepe. Los.
All right, hopefully now you have a pretty good idea of how to identify the direct object and from that figure out what the correct object pronoun will be. The next step is, where do we put that object pronoun in the sentence? In English, we just simply insert it in the same place. For example, I have a book, or I have it. Okay, so it's different in Spanish. We have a different syntax for this, this grammatical point. We follow different syntactical rules. So what I want to show you now is where you're going to put the object pronoun. Tengo un libro. Let's identify first what our direct object is. Find the verb. Okay, the verb is here. Now, what's the subject? It's not given, but I know that tengo is the yo form. All right. Now, ¿qué tengo? What do I have? Un libro. That's my direct object. So, what would be the pronoun that would go with libro? Well, let's see. It's a masculine noun, and it's singular. So think back to that earlier chart that I gave you, and what the pronouns would be for a masculine singular noun. Lo. So my goal is to replace un libro with the word lo. It would be like saying in English, I have it. But I follow different syntactical rules here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the object pronoun before the verb, before the conjugated verb. Lo tengo. That's where my object pronouns are going to go. They're going to go before the conjugated verb. Muy importante, very important. Object pronouns go before the conjugated verb. So what does this equal? Lo tengo. I have it. Try this out in the next activity and see if you can follow along and figure out how to rewrite a sentence using an object pronoun.
For this activity, try to write the sentence using the direct object pronoun. Let's look at the modelo. Mi madre lleva una chaqueta. Identify your verb, identify your subject, then look for your direct object. Think. What does my mother wear? Una chaqueta. So I rewrite the sentence, mi madre la lleva. La is the direct object pronoun, and I place it before the conjugated verb. Try the next one on your own. Pause the video if you're not ready to continue. Otherwise, I'm going to put up the answers. Take a look at the words that are in bold. What do you think they are taking the place of in the sentence above? For example, in número uno, we have los chicos tienen un coche. We rewrite that as los chicos lo tienen. Lo takes the place of un coche. Lo is the direct object pronoun. Coche is the direct object. We follow our rule of placing the direct object pronoun before the conjugated verb. Conjugated verb, pronoun. Conjugated verb, pronoun. Conjugated verb, pronoun. And conjugated verb, pronoun.
Okay, so hopefully now you're able to look at a sentence, identify the subject and verb, identify the direct object, choose the direct object pronoun, and then replace the sentence, rewrite the sentence, replacing the direct object with a pronoun in the correct place. We can now, if you're feeling okay about that, if you're still having problems, go back and review this video or send me an email. However, if you feel like you've kind of you're getting the hang of it, I want to move on and show you a little bit about using object pronouns with infinitives and participles. So we've talked about in class compound verb phrases. Let me give you an example of a compound verb phrase. Necesito estudiar. Necesito estudiar. I've got a conjugated verb paired with an infinitive. Now, if I want to add something onto this sentence, such as necesito estudiar historia, I've added a direct object. What do I need to study? History. So, just like before, I can replace that object with a pronoun. But because I've got a compound verb phrase, I now have another option of where I can put that object pronoun. Let me show you what I mean. First, let's identify what the object pronoun is going to be. Well, we find our verb, okay? Necesito estudiar. This is my verb phrase, okay? Because I know that necesito is the yo form of necesitar, that's my subject. What do I study? Historia. That's my direct object. What's going to be the direct object pronoun I want to use? Well, historia is a feminine singular word. So the pronoun will be la. Following what I just told you about where to place the object pronoun, we can replace historia with la by putting it before the conjugated verb. No problem. La necesito estudiar. La comes before the conjugated verb. I have another option. I can attach the object pronoun to my infinitive. Necesito estudiarla. Necesito estudiarla. That works perfectly well. It's either or. I personally don't have any preference to whichever one works best for the student. Typically, I attach my pronouns when I speak, but I find myself more and more putting it at the beginning of sentences. I'm not sure why. Just the evolution of my speaking. So don't feel like one is better than the other. It's what you're comfortable with. But just know you have these two options. All right, let's go through this one. Mi amigo tiene que limpiar el baño. First thing I want to do is find the verb, or in this case, identify the compound verb phrase. Tiene que limpiar. That's my compound verb phrase. All right? What's the subject? Mi amigo. What does he have to clean? Remember, tener que, and then the verb means have to do something. Tiene que limpiar. What does he have to clean? El baño. That's my direct object. I want to rewrite this sentence replacing el baño with the object pronoun. So again, I have two options. I can say lo tiene que limpiar. Lo takes the place of el baño, and I put it before my conjugated verb. Or I can attach it to the infinitive. The infinitive is limpiar, so I just attach it. Boom. Tiene que limpiarlo. One thing that's really important to remember is that these compound verb phrases, I like to think of them as if they've got a force field around them. Okay? What that means is that I can't insert any words in between. I can't break up this compound verb phrase. I can attach a pronoun to the end of it, or I can insert a pronoun at the beginning, but nothing can penetrate this force field. So when you identify your compound verb phrase, remember that. It will help you remember where to put the pronoun. Try some examples in this next activity and see how you do.
We have a little bit of different, we have different options. Rewrite the following sentences replacing the direct object with its pronoun, using both options. Mi madre necesita leer la novela. Pause the video here if you're not ready to see the answer. So we have two options. Mi madre la necesita leer, or mi madre necesita leerla. Remember, la takes the place of la novela. Option 1, we place the direct object pronoun before the conjugated verb, necesita. But since we have a compound verb phrase, necesita leer, we can also place or attach the pronoun to the infinitive. Try this one. Los primos de Juana van a comer chocolate. Pause the video here if you're not ready to see the answer. Option 1, los primos de Juana lo van a comer. Option 2, los primos de Juana van a comerlo.
Okay, we talked about what to do with infinitives and object pronouns. We can also follow that same two-option rule with the present progressive. Remember, the present progressive is when you use the verb estar in a present participle. These are words that you probably know as ando words or yendo words. These work very similar, almost the same way as with the infinitives. So let me give you an example. Estoy estudiando historia. Okay? Estoy estudiando historia. What am I studying? History. So again, we know that our object pronoun at this point is la. Well, where do I put it? Just like with a compound verb phrase, if you treat the present progressive form as a compound verb phrase, remember, we have a little force field around it. We're going to place the object pronoun either before the conjugated verb, all right, in this case before the form of estar, la estoy estudiando, or we're going to place it at the end. We're going to attach it to the participle. Estoy estudiándola. I'm going to explain to you really quickly why I've put an accent over the a in estudiándola. So, I've replaced the object with the pronoun la, and I've attached it to my participle to give me the word estudiándola. Listen to how I pronounce that word, estudiándola. I want to make sure that the accent, the stress, stays on that ando, estudiando, estudiándola. Because I've added an extra syllable to the word, I need to indicate with a written accent mark that the stress is still there. Otherwise, I would get a weird pronunciation like estudiándola, something like that. That's not what I want. I want estudiándola. So remember, when you're using the present progressive and you add that extra syllable, you have to maintain the stress on the original participle. I wanted to say, mirando, estoy mirando el video, mirándolo, mirándolo. I want to keep that stress in the original place. Me personally, I don't get too hung up on this type of accent because it doesn't change the meaning of the word. Some accents do, and they're very important, written for that reason. But this written is a written indication of where the stress should be on the syllable.
So we've talked a lot about direct object pronouns using lo, la, los, and las, but I want to make it clear that we also have other direct object pronouns that can be used, such as me, te, nos, and os. So here are a couple of examples using pronouns other than lo, la, los, and las. Take the English sentence, I call you. Who do I call? You. You are the direct object. Let's put it in Spanish. Te llamo. Te is the direct object pronoun. It's also the direct object. And I place it before the conjugated verb. Let's look at another one. They see us. Who do they see? Us. We, or us, is a direct object. En español, nos ven. So to sum up everything, I want to give you a few key points to remember. Number 1, identify your verb first, then find the direct object. This is a key step, especially if it's a concept that you're having trouble grasping. This can help you, at this stage in your language learning, really simplify the whole process. Number 2, once you've found the direct object, select the appropriate pronoun to use to replace the object. Remember, you have to agree in number and gender. Number 3, place the object pronoun before the conjugated verb. This goes back to number 1. You have to know where your verb is So in order to be able to know where to place the pronoun. And number 4, if you have a compound verb phrase, either place the pronoun before the conjugated verb, or your other option is to attach it to the infinitive or participle.